before and after picture secrets revealed by a photographer. That's me. Let's get into these scandalous pictures and the photography tricks that they use to make these before and after pictures look more dramatic. This guy said that he did a 30-day celebrity workout, and this was the thumbnail for his video. You can see in the first picture, there aren't any really hard shadows under his pec. And then in the second picture, you get these hard lines in his pectorals. And that's not even a part of his body. That's just a shadow being cast. So right away, you can tell that there's overhead lighting in the second picture that's making his muscles seem even more extreme. That's great. Side lighting, top lighting, it's going to accentuate any lumps and bumps. And in this case, you want to do that. Another thing that revealed the lighting is the shadow under his face. So you can see in the second photo, his chin is actually casting a shadow on his chest. Another giveaway is if you look at the hair, you can see even the hair is different. His hair looks darker in the second one because the hair is actually casting a shadow as well. In the first one, we see right through the hair. So in this case, the lighting is making him look way more buff. When I merge these photos, you can see how this guy changed his posture to look more muscular. He puts his arms out, he brings out his chest, he sucks in his stomach, and he flexes his abs. And all of these things combined, lighting and posing, give him a really dramatic before and after. Another thing you might notice is he's more vascular in the second picture. You can just go lift a bunch of weights really quickly, do some push-ups. There are supplements you can take to do that. Not saying this person did that. This second one was an article that I stumbled upon. It says, "This under eye brightener seriously looks like an Instagram filter, IRL." Yeah, no, it doesn't. You know what they're doing here? They're using lighting to light the underneath part of the eyes, the part that's actually concave that make your eyes look darker. They're actually using the same exact lighting, but they're using it differently. So in the first picture, the model is looking straight ahead. The light is casting a little bit of a shadow underneath her eyes. They put on concealer, which did cover up the darker colors of her skin, but you can't fill any hollows in the skin, so they lifted her chin a little bit, and now the light is being cast in the shadows, and that's it. And you can see that in the before and after. In the first one, she's looking down. I could do it now. In the second one, she's looking up. It's the power of lighting and posing. And from that same article about the same concealer, we see the same thing, but you see the model's entire head, so it's more dramatic because of her hairline. You can see less of her hairline in the second picture because her head is tilted up, and now the light is filling in the shadows under her eyes. That's not to say the concealer didn't cover up any darkness in the pigmentation of her skin, but it certainly can't fill in any concaved areas of your face. This was a good example of how lighting can cover up any lumps and bumps, because in this first photo, you can see there's actually texture to her shorts, and that is being lit up. You can really see all of the texture. You can see the texture in her legs. You can see that there's a shadow under her shorts. And then in the second and third photo, you can see that even the shorts look softer. This was for cellulite cream. Did she use it on her shorts? I don't think so. I think this is a little bit of trickery with lighting. And on this last picture, it's even smoother, and I think that they used the same lighting technique, but also editing. You can see her leg just looks slimmer, and you can see there's no divot here where her short meets her leg, and there is in the other one. It looks a little unnatural. Lighting, I can't stress it enough. It doesn't have to be makeup. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. Lighting works wonders. We have a how-to photography book. We show a demonstration on an orange where if you just light an orange differently, it can go from looking extremely porous and bumpy to looking smooth. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can pick up our book. It's in the description below. You can do a lot to trick people with before and after pictures just with like Instagram, just any basic photo editor on your phone. I came upon this before and after picture, and the first thing that hit me was the first photo has a ton of contrast added to the picture, and the second photo does not. And you can see that because look at her hair and look at her eyebrows from the first to the second one, and look at her eyes. Her eye color is darker, her eyebrows are darker, the contrast between the dark and light hair on her head is more pronounced, and therefore the contrast of her hyperpigmentation on her face is more pronounced. Let's jump into Photoshop and I'll try to undo the contrast that they added, and you can see there was still a result with the product, but just not as drastic as the before and after picture. This is another example of a light edit. I pulled this picture from a product on one of the biggest makeup retailers on the internet, and I noticed something right away as a photographer when I looked at this picture. Her skin looks more red in the before, but so do her eyes and gums. And I really doubt they used this concealer on her gums. I zoomed in really closely and I tried to color match her gums in the before and after, and also the whites of her eyes, because I noticed there was a tint in color to the whites of her eyes. On the left, they're more natural. On the right, they have a little bit of a green tint. So I went in there and I checked, and when I was doing that, I noticed that the lights were different in the before and after picture as well. So you can see in the before picture, there are the same number of lights, but the lights on the very bottom are not lit completely. And in the after picture, they lit the picture more. And if you're adding more light to someone's face, you're filling in more shadows. And that could be also making the concealer look better under her eyes and making all of the lines on her face look softer. Now let's get into what everyone talks about, and that's Photoshop. This is a before and after for Cellulite Cream. This picture is the same exact picture in the before and the after, except they photoshopped out the bumps. They're exactly the same. The tension in the thumbs, the indentations on the skin. That one's just a blatant lie. And then this photo as well, in eye drop ads, they always artificially add red. I overlaid these two photos again. They're the same exact picture. Those are really unnaturally edited photos, and I don't think they're an accurate representation of what eye drops would do at all. Posing is so important. You can have your Photoshop, you can have your lighting, and if the person isn't posing properly, it can change the entire photo. Just springing butts on you, like right away. In this third picture, the before, she's pushing her pelvis forward and scrunching up her butt so that the cellulite looks worse. You can see that her thighs are touching. There's more of a shadow under her butt cheeks. And in the after, she's pushing her butt back, and that's smoothing out her butt. It's creating a gap between her thighs. I think it's also photoshopped and also lighting as well. I think this one has everything working with it to make this a very dramatic before and after. And now, how to look for the real deal. When I went digging through photos, I thought this photo was a fake. I thought that the before and the after were the exact same picture, and I went to overlay them in Photoshop and discovered that wasn't the case at all. I went and looked at her makeup page, and I think that she just has a system worked out for being in the same place with the same lighting. There's texture under her eye, so you can tell that they didn't just smooth that out in Photoshop. In the before, there's not really anything wrong with her under eye. She has thin skin, you can see some veins. She doesn't really have any deep circles under her eyes, and so it would make sense that the product would work really well on her. And then this is pulled from a product page, a review, and this person did this photo themselves. They're not a professional, they're really not good at it, and these are terrible pictures, but I think this is a very accurate representation of how a product would look. In the first picture, things are a little bit darker under her eyes. In the second, you can see the pigment added under her eye. And if it looks realistic and it doesn't look perfect, it's probably an accurate before and after picture. So I hope I gave you some idea of what to look for when you're looking at pictures like these. If you're a photographer, I hope you learned about some little tricks that you can employ to make your subject look better, whether it be a person or an orange, like we talked about. If you want to learn more about that, Tony and I have an entire book about photography, and we have chapters on portraits, lighting and flash, composition, posing, and that can be found in the description below. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.